Hello and welcome to today's video. This is, as you can see, a video about the Doctor Who role-playing game. Now this game sort of was in a bit of an abeyance, it seems. There was a bit of a rumour about, was the licence going to be lost? Was there going to be a second edition? Well, all of that seems to have been clarified when, I think it was yesterday, Cubicle 7 announced that they had renewed the licence for Doctor Who and to watch this space for announcements about upcoming products. So we might end up with a new version of the rulebook. We could end up with more adventures or information booklets. We could even get a second edition, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. Now this is the most up-to-date version of the rulebook, and as you can see it's got Mr. Capaldi on the front there. Now obviously Jodie is still currently Doctor, and therefore until she sort of moves on, which apparently is going to be happening, we're likely to only have this version of the rulebook. Now obviously I think there's been a 3-year run since Capaldi was playing the Doctor, but it doesn't mean there's any problem with this version of the rulebook. And to be honest, the rulebooks, it doesn't seem to desperately matter which one you get. Now I do regret not picking it up when it first came out as, I think, Adventures in Time and Space it was called, and it was a box set and had David Tennant. And that looks like a really nice product that came with some like punch out cards and tokens and stuff. But they switched to the hardback book, I think with the 11th Doctor, and it's a lovely quality book that you get when you buy the hardback. It's got really nice graphic design, colour pages pretty much throughout, and it's this massive book. I mean, it's over 200 pages, but the actual rules, to be brutally honest, are pretty simple. But as you can see, really nicely laid out, nice, clear, easy to read text, and what's role-playing game. This is definitely aimed at a younger or new to role-playing audience. So it talks about gender there, it talks about an example of play, quite a few pages on that, and then we actually get into starting to play the game. So creating your heroes effectively. So you've got the Doctor and the companions. Now it does talk about the problem of not everyone can be the Doctor. Now you could, I suppose, do your own campaign where everyone is a Time Lord, but it talks about having no Time Lord, being part of Unit or Torchwood, and then it actually gets into creating your characters. Now the way it works is you've got 24 character points which you can spend on your attributes. And for example, one of them is awareness, and if you've got an awareness of 1, you're oblivious to the goings on around you. If you've got an awareness of 6, that's the human maximum, incredibly rare, and you seem to take in everything that's going on around you almost subconsciously. Whereas awareness 7, you're superhuman, enhanced senses, almost like, Spider-Man type level of stuff. So you've got 24 points to distribute amongst your 6 attributes. However, any points you don't spend can either be converted into skill points or used to buy things called traits. Now you actually do get 18 skill points straight away, and there are, I believe, 12 skills that you can invest those points in. So you could, for example, put 1 point in everything and then spend the extra 6 points on particular skills that take your fancy. You also get things called story points, which are special points that you can spend in game to get yourself out of a tricky situation. So what might you want to spend your 24 character points on? Well, you've got awareness, you've got coordination, you've got ingenuity, you've got presence, you've got resolve, and you've got strength. So it's a good idea to obviously have more than one in each of those, but if you're really into your role playing, maybe a 1 in presence might be a good idea. So you're socially inept or rude. If you've got a presence of 6 though, you're awe-inspiring, regarded with respect, and people want to be with you. So you can craft your character to be the sort of person that you want to play. Then you've got traits. Now the traits are minor, major and special. Minor costs 1 character point, major costs 2 character points, and special 3, I want to say. But yeah, it might cost you some story points to buy them as well. Now you can also get some bad traits as well. So here's the list of traits, and there's good traits. So you've got animal friendship, arrogant, attractive, biochemical genius, a boffin, brave, charming, empathic, facing the crowd, fast healing, friends, hotshot, hypnosis, indomitable, lucky, military, noble, percussive maintenance, photographic memory, psychic training, quick reflexes, resourceful pockets, reverse the polarity of the neutron flow. That's apparently a major good trait. Run for your life, screamer, sense of direction, technically adept, time traveller, obviously required if you want to be a Time Lord, tough, and voice of authority. Now, bad traits, you've got an adversary, amnesia, you're argumentative, do things by the book, you're clumsy, you've got a code of conduct, you're cowardly, you've got dark secrets, you've got dependency, you're distinctive, you're eccentric, you're forgetful, impaired senses, impulsive, insatiable curiosity, obligation, obsession, outcast, outsider, phobia, selfish, owes a favour, slow reflexes, technically inept, unattractive, wanted, weakness. Then you've got your special traits: alien, alien appearance, clairvoyance, cyborg, experience, fast healing, fear factor, feel the turn of the universe, hypnosis, immortal, inexperience, last of my kind, precognition, psychic, robot, telekinesis, telepathy, time agent, obviously very useful for things like Torchwood, Time Lord, experienced, vortex, and then you get into your skills. Now, I'm not going to go through what all of these things do, but that gives you a kind of an idea of the scope of these traits. Now let's just pick one at random. So let's get a good one. So resourceful pockets. The Doctor has said that he has pockets like the TARDIS, and he does seem to carry strange things around in them. Sometimes people just have the knack of accumulating things. So what's the actual in-game effects of this minor good trait? The player can either spend a story point and find the thing they need, or roll a couple of dice, and if they get a double, for example rolling 2 1s or 2 3s, they find something helpful, such as a cricket ball or a clockwork mouse. Of course, it may not be exactly what you're expecting, but it's still useful. So it's just a nice little sort of flavour item. So then you've got skills. So your skills are athletics, so good at being physically active, convince, which is about persuading people, craft, so making things, fighting, obviously punching things, knowledge, so knowing things, marksman, so you're good at shooting, medicine, pretty obvious, science, subterfuge, so, you know, good for doing your spy type stuff, survival, technology, transport, and that's it. That is your 12 skills. So you've got areas of expertise, which are specialist things you can get. So, for example, under subterfuge, you can be good at sneaking, lockpicking, pickpocketing, disguise, safe cracking, technology, TARDIS, computers, and so forth. So then you just get your story points, which, as I say, are special points you can use, and then you finish off with your name, your appearance, bit of background, the home and technology level. So, for example, Earth, I guess, is going to be a 4 to maybe a 5. And obviously, if you want to have come from the past, you might be technology 3, which is Renaissance era, or 2, which is kind of Bronze Age to Middle Ages. You can also get some goals, some equipment, and then we get into how the game actually works. Now, the actual rules are pretty simple, but it takes quite a while talking about I can fight monsters, but I can't fight physics. Now, the basic rules are roll 2d6, add your attribute, add your skill, if relevant, add your trait, and you're trying to beat a target number. Now, that's sort of summarised here. Basically, your target number is going to be 9 for something that's pretty easy. Now, on 2d6, an average roll is going to be a 7. So as long as you've got, let's say, 2 on your attribute and 2 on your skill, I would say on average you can always do an easy. A hard, for example, is a target number of 18. So you need to get to 11 if you assume you get your average roll of 7. So an attribute of 6 and a skill of 5 means you'll almost certainly be able to do hard, but it's not guaranteed. Our very difficult is a much harder to achieve 24. Now with 2d6 you're going to roll 12 at most, so you're probably going to need a 6 in both your attribute and your skill. So very difficult, very unlikely to happen, but it is possible. Now, the way the game works is it's got a sort of weird initiative system where the people doing the talking go first, then the people running go next, then the people are doing things, and then finally fighting happens. So it sort of discourages combat because getting wounded is pretty nasty, but also you can choose just to run away. So when a Dalek's trying to shoot you, if you try and go toe-to-toe with it, then that could end up being bad for you. But if you decide to talk or run or do something, you might be able to get yourself sorted before the Dalek gets to act and fight. Now, there is a concept of sort of margin of success in the game as well. And it's effectively, if you roll within 3 of your target number, 8 of your target number, or 9 of your target number, that's either good or bad. And that comes on later on. But all of that is basically what's discussed over, I think it was about 30 pages. So it goes into quite a lot of detail about stuff. There's also modifiers. So we've got a task difficulty chart here with the difficulty ranging from 3 to 30. But I would say most skill tests are going to be a 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Then we've got the success table. So if you get a 9, then that is a fantastic success. So if you roll 9 over your target number, that's a fantastic success. If you roll 0 to 3, then it's a success. If you roll under, i.e. a failure, if you're within 3, it's a failure or a no but. If you roll 4 or 8, it's just a no. And if you roll over 9 under, so let's say you're trying to do something difficulty 24 and you roll, let's say, an 11, that's over 9 below the target number. So it's not only you fail to succeed, it's a no and. So that's all very nicely laid out. Now it does talk about, if you don't want to remember all that, just roll a d6 and basically it will determine how good a success or failure you get depending on whether you hit that target number or not. Talks about damage, it talks about cooperation, talks about taking time, contested rolls where you can roll off against each other and you're trying to get the highest number, complications which modify your dice roll, but I think probably an easier way of doing it is just to level up or down the target number, how to deal with multiple opponents, how to deal with an extended conflict, reactions, making more than one reaction in a round, and extended conflict summary. There's all quite a lot of it here. Losing a physical conflict with levels of injury, and it's got this bit about S and L for stun or lethal. So an injury that's stunning you, okay, it's not good, but an L, it's lethal. So Dalek death rays, Cyberman particle cannons, for example, that they could actually kill you. So you've got to be really careful with those. Where does it hurt? There is like a hit location, getting knocked out. Marksman damage, so that can be really bad for you. Guns are bad, so plan ahead, hide and sneak, talk them down, distract them, and basically take out the guns, call the police, surrender, dive for cover, run away, shoot back. And that's obviously the worst option. So there's talks about ducking and covering and armour. So other sources of injury, so falling, drowning, cold, radiation. Mental conflicts, how you can potentially get freeze, get possessed, lose a social conflict, and obviously how to heal if you have been wounded. Then you've got a bit about chases, and that goes on for a bit, quite a few bits in there. Then we get to story points and how you can use story points. So that's on page 102. So this section here, talking about how to do tasks, which I summarised in just a few words. Obviously, if you want to make it more complex, you can. So it's page 70 to about page 102, so 30 pages, but obviously story points are also involved in this. So you can spend story points to bump up and down your success. So it's got a guideline, so 1 to 2 points is a tiny effect, whereas 11 points is a climatic effect. So it talks about when you might want to spend that and why you need to spend it, how you gain story points, how you lose story points, and then a little bit about growing from experience. So you can remove bad traits and buy good traits, you can tweak your attributes, your skills, you can change your personal goal, you can gain story points, and you can grow as a person. Then Boys and Their Toys is equipment. talks about technology levels and gadgets and minor and major, and then there's traits for your gadgets, which is obviously pretty cool stuff, including the good old psychic paper up in the top corner there. Then we get into time and time again, which is all about time travel and the setting. So if you're not that au fait with Doctor Who, I guess this section will be very useful. So radiation and respiratory bypass and regeneration. So this is very much Time Lord specific information here. Then it talks a bit about the TARDIS, what it is, how it works, and then you've got some stats for it. Then we get into all the strange creatures, which is like your bestiary. So we've got clockwork robots, Cybermen, Daleks, but we don't have specific characters. So for example, although we've got information about the Daleks, we don't necessarily have information about specialist Daleks, or even their creator, of course, Davros. We do have a bit about Dalek mutants, though. We do have Missy as well, the Teller, the Boneless, and you'll notice a lot of these monsters are specific to the particular Doctor of the rulebook, and that's where the expansion booklets can be useful. They'll give you more monsters and other Doctors and different techniques. So, for example, you might want to have, for example, the second Doctor as your Doctor. So the Weeping Angels, quite nasty guys. Then we've got alien traits. It also does talk about creating an alien character. Then a roller coaster. So how to role play, how to run the game, all that sort of stuff is in here, and some really good information. Particularly for someone who's not experienced. So game mastering hints and tips: be creative, remember the story is everything, don't let the story you're telling get bogged down in details, listen to the players, don't force them down a path, etc, etc. Also talks about other resources, pointing out there's been 50 years of Doctor Who, bringing non-player characters to life, talk the technobabble experience and gain and managing that, and remember, if you're running the game you rule. And then we've got some story stuff. So who's your antagonist, who's your conflict. So this is how to create your own adventure effectively. So that's pretty good. And talks about campaigns and ongoing adventures and story arcs. And then all of time and space is weighted. Don't even argue. So this is actually effectively like an adventure, if I remember correctly. So let's skip through that for any players who might end up wanting to play in that. And then we've got an appendix which gives you some characters. So we've got the Doctor, Clara, Danny, Madame Vastra, Jenny Flint, Strax, Kate, Osgood, Saviour, Cy. Now my niece is going to kill me for mispronouncing all these. Courtney Woods, Rigsy, Robin Hood, Journey, Lou, a unit soldier, random scientist, a rock star, adventuring archaeologist, a blank character sheet, and then a summary. So if we look at that, so using your story points, extended action, levels of success, skill, nice and easy. And then we get to a rather nice index, and that is pretty much it. So really nice product, very good game, and as I say, it's very simple to play if you don't want to bog yourself down with all these extra bits of information. So I recommend you check out this game. Well, I think that will do for now. I hope you've enjoyed that quick look at the Doctor Who role-playing game, and I believe Cubicle 7 does have a sale on, with a lot of products being at 50% off. So it might be worth checking that out. That offer might go away shortly, because obviously they've just renewed the license. Now, of course, what you've got to decide is who's the best Doctor. Now, who could it possibly be?
Would you like a jelly baby?
Oh, thank you, Doctor. Don't mind if I do.